You know, the word to describe this entire room is joy today because we have Josh Ritter.
Uh,
And thanks for coming back and visiting with us
well,
again.
thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, it's your 10th studio album, which has to seem kind of crazy. Fever Breaks, it is out now, and I'm sure it'll be on the merch table tonight over at the Madrid Theater.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm amazed. 10 albums. I can't believe it. I wasn't counting until this one. And it just and then I realized that and it's nuts.
Yeah. And congratulations. It's such a great record, too.
Thank you.
It's we need people to sort of help us through life. And you decided to go pretty directly towards sort of the place that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And you've done this only really once before. You did it with Animal Years.
Yeah. Each record is sort of I feel a collection, if you're lucky, of preoccupations that you have, the things that rise up in front of you and are so important that you have to look at them, and there's such a complex knot of things that you want to there's so much there to work on, and with the Animal Years, I was fearful and confused about the path that I thought that America was taking. And this time, I was, I again felt like the need to kind of figure out what it was that I was thinking about things, and looking at some of the things happening around me, and just wanting to capture them and try and make sense of them for myself.
So there are a couple of the songs that are really direct, and other songs are just sort of speaking to like the sort of emotions that we're all feeling right now.
Yeah.
But they all sort of also have a sense of, well, the album title is Fever Breaks.
Yeah.
And the breaks part means that there's hope.
Yeah. 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 A lot of times, it was one thing that became really important to me with this record was that I was going to follow some kind of a lyrical inspirations, kind of without necessarily knowing where they were going to go, and that helped me a lot with certain lyrics, and especially as I was being very direct on a lot of things. I also wanted to get some poetry in there, but the view of a record. I coming up with the title and things. I woke up with Fever Breaks as a phrase in my head, and I wasn't sure what it meant, and I'm still not exactly sure the kind of import of what that means. But it was there in my head, and I thought, well, this is a time where I'm not gonna question. I'm just gonna let my subconscious do its little work,
Because you wanted it to be a document of this time, these are all pretty recent songs.
Yeah.
But there was one song, and it's one of the ones that's more direct, but the Torch Committee, you worked on that over a period of years.
Yeah, yeah. It took me a long time to, I had the idea of, I think like some songs just are a sort of a cloudy thing in the back of your head for a while, just a feeling or like a shadow. You don't really notice that they're there except sometimes. And it took me a long time, a lot of writing and thinking about this idea that I had, just a thing, and then I started to see torches in some pretty terrifying places, and it made me think about authoritarianism and mob rule, and the way those two things are hand in hand.
Just to sort of put my take on it, which you really don't need.
No.
But you can write a song and invoke children in cages, and it will still read as poetry.
Yeah.
Well, so you were very direct, but it still is art.
Well, I feel that unless there's times when you can talk around something, but really there are moments when for me, only speaking for myself, if I was thinking about other things at this moment, I don't know that it would be useful. This is what I feel like I want to do. I try and make things make sense for myself, and like I also believe that music is and songs are a way that we can like all realize that some of our questions and fears, about all kinds of things are similar, and they're not that different. And I think that's a beautiful thing that music has, and that's what I look to when I listen to other people's music is a sense of that I'm not the only one out there thinking, about things, and then they give me a chance to like believe in the power of our common experience and common humanity.
Josh Ritter is our guest. The album is Fever Breaks. He plays tonight at Madrid, and we'd love to hear a song.
Yeah, totally.
Made a good run, but I run too far. Fought the battle of jalopy in this beat-up car, but I'm drawn to you, honey, like the sea to the fisherman's daughter. It's just a short walk on the water. If you find yourself alone, if you run out of road, if you get the way it gets when lightning strikes and then goes, I'll be around it, don't matter what the others offer. It's just a short walk on the water. I'm in love with you, honey, you got nothing to fear. You're standing over there and I'm standing right here. The choice is for you, I can't make it for you though I want it. 'Cause you and I have been lovers, honey, you and I are friends. It's been that way forever since I can't remember when. Everything happens for a reason, or at least it ought to. It's just a short walk on the water. I'm in love with you, honey, you got nothing to fear. You're standing over there and I'm standing right here. The choice is for you, I can't make it for you though I want to. With the storm in your hair and the salt in your eyes and the cyclone and the cap of each wave like the first day that you fell in love. And you're in between nothing but the thin air and the unknown, on a night when enough couldn't possibly be enough. Everything's changing now, times are strange. You know me, honey, like you know my name. My heart is a silver fish on the line of your laughter. It's just a short walk on the water. I'm in love with you, honey, you got nothing to fear. You're standing over there and I'm standing right here. The choice is for you, I can't make it for you though I want it. Made a good run, but I run too far. Fought the battle of jalopy in the speed-up car, but I'm drawn to you, honey, like the sea to the fisherman's daughter. It's just a short walk on the water.
Josh Ritter this afternoon on the Bridge. That is On the Water from the album Fever Breaks, live in the Bridge Studios. It's one of my favorites. Thanks for doing that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, we never ask anybody to do specific songs. We just cross our fingers. It's artist prerogative here. When you went into this, when you had a bunch of songs all pretty much lined up, but you kind of wanted to mix things up, take away any security blanket you had, tried to do something a little bit different.
Yeah. It's like, well, for me, I have always believed that recording should be super fun. I believe that it's like it's because there's a time when you're recording, and that's a celebration of the work that you've done, and you're finally kind of whipping the sheet off the statue, and you're showing these people that are closest to you what you've been working on, and that means you sit in a room and play out a song, and everybody learns it for the first time. It's a magic moment, and I really love it. But I love recording in all kinds of different places. I'm not somebody who's very good with technology at all. I have trouble turning on flashlights, and but so it's good for me to like go to some place where people know what they're doing, and I can like work on my songs, and so I've always believed that recording should be adventurous, but at the same time I've always for almost 20 years worked with the same group of people very closely, and really treasure and value that experience, because I believe that there's the music and then there's the shared experience that you have as people living usually within like 4 feet of each other for weeks, years, and you learn a lot about each other, and you learn a lot about music just by being around one another, and so I value that experience. But then what I really wanted to do was like try and challenge myself by removing that and working with people that I hadn't worked with before, and going in as kind of on my own to work with a new group of people, and I'd been on tour with Jason Isbell for a while, and really gotten to know him and his family and his band, and like really loved the experience, and was thinking that would be a super fun thing to do, would be to make a record with that guy and his awesome band, and that was, luckily they were interested.
I think that you mentioned the fact that you were going to do this with Jason the last time you were in, hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And it just set us all on fire, because, if I were going to build my Mount Rushmore of American songwriters right now, you and Jason would both be on it, right? And so you put two great songwriters like that together, and what happens? Well, you go hunting crawdads.
Yeah. We went down. I played a bunch of music for those guys, and went down and waded around in the river, and we just had a beautiful time, and then went and recorded at this incredible studio in Nashville. It was like, for me, it was it was a lot of music stuff that I have, like such as recording in Nashville, or playing with some of these players. It was like stepping into kind of a whole nother world, than I'd been used to.
Yeah, and they challenged you too.
Always, yeah.
And you've been pretty much a guy that sort of stayed to yourself and polished up your songs, and wasn't going around asking for a bunch of people to tell you how to change things.
It's interesting. You have a real personal. I really enjoy having a producer. Because I and somebody that I can, I sometimes feel like gets where a little bit of what I'm talking about, but brings a lot of their own personal experiences and determination and stuff like that, encourage to whatever they're bringing to the project. It's fun to work with the producer, but I do feel that it should, with that should come some like differences of opinions and all kinds of things, and I really believe in like kind of trusting the person that you're working with, and seeing where that can take you, because it can always take you farther than you could take it yourself.
So you had a little bit of back and forth, maybe to get you ready in the grand scheme of things, with Bob Weir. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I wrote a record with Bob and Josh Kaufman a couple of years ago called Storm Country that Bob, or they called Blue Mountain. It was and there was it was just a really fun chance to write a bunch of like kind of cowboy sort of western tinged songs and stories, and I remember, Josh calling me and saying, Bob might really want to like do a record of like cowboy songs. So I wrote some on the airplane when I was traveling, and I sent them to him. I wrote them on my phone, and like I was like, please let me do this. This sounds like such a great time, and it really was, Yeah. So, you go in to record and you're a little bit nervous, but Jason has said in interviews that he was nervous too. And so, that probably made it a really cool, charged atmosphere. But he did change things. You really thought that you were going to be making a fairly quiet record.
I was when I had it in my head at first, I was thinking of sort of there was a lot of material that was quiet or had like an intensity to it that I felt was a quiet sort of simmering sort of thing, and then Jason and Sadler and those guys brought in, and Amanda brought in like guitars and violins and just burned down the barn, It was awesome, So what I thought was coming up kind of as a daisy turned into like this crazy rose bramble. It was amazing to watch happen.
So Amanda has been a fan of yours since Hello Starling, which is where a lot of us jumped on board, and she would sing along to your records around the house. And there was one interview with Jason that I found where he said that it used to make him really jealous. and then he sobered up and he stopped he worked really hard at not being jealous and then figured out that you were a really great songwriter. But I think that the great thing about it is that Jason said that he thought that her singing along with your records over all those years made it more intuitive for her to sing with you when it came to recording this record.
Yeah, well, I think that's true. It was, and that was really lucky for me because I was not it was cool that somebody knew enough of my things that they might know some. By kind of intuition where something might go and where the dynamics would need to change, and I grew up I grew up playing the violin for a really long time, and I ditched it immediately when I found the guitar, but one thing that I always appreciated about the violin was the ability to go from something real loud to something really quiet and whispery, and how much like the human voice it is, and that that she kind of knows where the songs are going, emotionally and sonically, and can translate that into what she does. It's really fantastic.
Dave Cobb sort of resurrected RCA Studio A, where you went to record, and so much brilliant music has happened recently, with Jason and with Brandy and with John Prine, and you could just go down the list one after another. But it's also that hallowed space where Elvis and Willie and Dolly recorded, and I'm assuming you probably felt some ghosts somewhere along the way.
Oh yeah. The room is a big kind of look. It looks like an office building from the outside. Then you walk inside, and it's like they removed all the offices and just built this kind of enormous wooded studio, and it's really big and lots of air in there, and you can go and you can the whole ground feels special, but there's places where they say this is where Elvis set up, or this is where Dolly recorded Jolene. Special things that they make a place have some kind of like holiness. That's cool. That's really cool.
I've seen you perform live several times, and I mentioned this to you when you got here today. I'm always taken with the amount of joy that you exude when you perform. And I was going to ask you, like how you take that joy into the studio, but that's really a stupid question because I think that whenever you perform, it just happens.
I am lucky. I'm lucky that like for whatever, my parents are both neuroscientists, so I always put this stuff in like that framework immediately. I just feel very grateful that for whatever reason when I get to play my songs, it makes me happy, and and that's something that I've been lucky enough to find for myself. There's other, I feel like if we're lucky, we all find something that allows us to feel joy in place, because there's other places in our life where that feeling of joy is not as achievable. or is not as available, and we need to find that for ourselves.
Well, we've all had that experience of having a smile so big that it makes your face hurt.
Yeah.
And that's the way you look a lot of the time.
I do get, like, towards the end of a show, my cheeks get tired.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine the workman's comp claim for that. Yeah, for all the joy that you exude on stage, it's not just the smile. You kind of bounce around. And my understanding is you've been touring with your family.
Yeah.
And your older daughter seems to enjoy the show at least as much as you do.
Oh yeah. They're this is B's almost 7. She's been on the road since she was 3 months old, and now that she's in school, she's going into 2nd grade next year. Things are getting serious. We are. She's not going to be able to tour as much during the school year, but during the summertime, we go all over the place. Yeah, it's a fantastic time.
I read an interview with you where you said that one of the ways that having a family has changed your songwriting is that kids keep you busy, and sometimes you have to hold the ideas in your head longer, and they change up there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of times, like sometimes, like when I'm working on a song, it's like a rock tumbler. You just have a bunch of like jaggedy things, and then over time, if you have to hold it in your head, then they get smooth and weird in strange ways, and other things are exposed. And then by the time you can write something down at like 9 o'clock at night, that you have a second, like it's you can put a pin in it. You did something really cool inside your head that day, and it's good because I used to have a lot of time to think, and like that's not always been so good for me, get very ruminative on things, and that kind of spiral is not always healthy, and if it is good for writing sometimes, but it's nice to have like a kid around who is 1.5 who doesn't care about your thoughts.
Yeah.
They just want what they want, and that's good for writing, I think.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear people talk about their writing process, and I think that a lot of people just sort of have said that there's no set way that it happens, but you seem to like the kitchen and you like mornings.
Yeah. Well, I think like in the mornings is when I'm smart, and then the evenings is when I'm a little loopy, and that's like a good combination. You need like the late night kind of weirdnesses. And that's really important. And then you need to have the cold eye that wakes up in the morning and says, this is either good or this is bad, or, And like, so I think I do a lot of my like kind of imaginative travels in bed at night. And then I wake up in the morning and decide whether it's worth it to like keep going in that direction,
Nothing's ever really pure in life. You can't say, oh, yes, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many artists that have picked up a guitar because they wanted a girl to see them holding a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And you seem to have picked up a guitar because it was a method of writing songs that had to get out.
Well, I feel like I picked up the guitar because it was like a piece of wood drifting by at the end of Titanic. It was that kind of feeling, which is that like the guitar at a moment in my life when I was, that age of maybe 17 and like there was nothing I felt good at. I felt I felt unimpressive in every single possible way. And so the idea of picking up a guitar to like impress a girl was like, that even was a huge stretch, I would really wanted to, but guitar came around, and here was a language, here was a way that I could give some kind of form and meter to what I was thinking, and the rules of songwriting and the rules of rhyming and things, and the way that you could actually compress ideas down into small forms and carry them around with you, and that there were people out there in the world like writing songs that made the world make sense to me. That was the whole thing, and so I I appreciate that everybody picks up the guitar for whatever reason, but for me it felt like a real matter of it was crucial. It was crucial to just in my thinking, and then like all the other stuff kind of came around later, and then that's not too bad either, you know. You know.
Josh Ritter in our studios this afternoon and at the Madrid Theater tonight. We'd love to hear another song.
All right.
I saw my brother in a stranger's face. I saw my sister in a smile. My mother's laughter in a far-off place. My father's footsteps in each mile. I thought I knew who my neighbor was. We didn't need to be redeemed. Oh, what could I have been thinking of? Was it all some kind of dream? I saw my country in the hungry eyes of a million refugees. Between the rocks and the rising tide, as they were tossed across the sea. There was a time when we were them, just as now they all are we. Was there an hour when we took them in? Was it all some kind of dream? I saw justice with a tattered hem. I saw compassion on the run, but I saw dignity in spite of them. I prayed its day would finally come. There was a time when we chose our sides, and we refused to live between. We rose to fight for what we knew was right, or was it all some kind of dream? I saw the children in the holding pens. I saw the families ripped apart. And though I try, I cannot begin to know what it did inside their hearts. There was a time when we held them close and weren't so cruel, low and mean. And we did good unto the least of those. Or was it all some kind of dream? Last night I lay in my true love's bed, and she lay there close beside. And we lay thinking about what lay ahead, wondering if the sun would rise. For it seems that these are darker days than any others that we've seen. Oh, how we wish that we weren't wide awake. This was all some kind of dream.
Josh Ritter this afternoon on the bridge, and the new album is Fever Breaks. That was all some kind of dream. You're one of the great ones.
Oh, thank you.
You really are. And, you know, the thing that I say this all the time, and I sound like a broken record, and I wouldn't be surprised if people could repeat the words that I'm about ready to say, because I say them quite often, but you don't have to do this. You come in, you do it for free. You come in when you got a show to do tonight. In your case, you left a loving wife and a couple of charming kids behind to come in and do this. It's such an amazing gift that you gave us today.
Thank you,
and I
John.
just hope that people come and see a true great songwriter and a great artist tonight at the Madrid Theater.
Thank you.
Josh Ritter, live on the bridge.